This is how I got my residency in Spain after spending a year without papers. If you didn't watch the previous video, I explained my immigration process there, and well, this is my experience. And honestly, being a YouTuber and working on social media helped me a lot to get this residency. For those who say this isn't a real job, well, guess what? This helped me a lot through my process. Hi my beautiful people, how are you? And welcome back to my channel. I have a bit of a cold, which is kind of going around here in Spain these days. Here in Spain, it's just something that's going around, you know? About the cold, people are getting the flu, something like that. It's super weird and I think it already got to my house. And well, I'm here in Spain because I'm doing this lovely makeup right now for today's little video, which many of you have been waiting for. And it's about how I got my residency here in Spain after spending a year without papers. Yes, that's right, I spent a year without papers. Well, if you want to hear that story, that anecdote about my migration process here in Spain, go to the previous video where I explained everything. And in this video, I'm going to explain how I applied for residency and what I did. What does this residency include? How long does it last? And what are my rights and restrictions? Stay tuned to this video for more if you're new here. From now on, I invite you to subscribe, like this video, and join this family, this YouTube community, so the channel can keep growing. We're really close to 400,000 subscribers. It's like, what? What? I can't believe it, and well, that's it. So I invite you to be part of this community too, because I think about 50% of the people who watch me aren't subscribed to the channel. That's really bad and says a lot about you. It's not nice, so subscribe now and give it a like. Yes, today's video, honestly, I wanted to do it outside just like the other one I did for you in a park. Super nice, so you could have a really pretty background and all that. But today it's raining. Over the weekend there was amazing sunshine, so well, the video will be here at home. Since I have several important things to explain to you, the location doesn't matter. What matters is sharing the information. Look, this is what the day's like all day long, and say hi to Phil. And well, exactly as I mentioned in the last video. In this video, I'm going to explain to you what this residency is, what it involves, and why I applied. And well, it's not a residency that's for everyone. First, you know I arrived on a tourist visa. I told you, and I enrolled in a school, but the school didn't allow it. How do I make the change? I mean, by law, you can't do it if they only give you a few days as a tourist. In my case, it was 15 days, so I couldn't change to a student visa. However, I am attending that school. But I talked to some lawyers. I was advised to talk to some lawyers because there was this digital nomad visa. I contacted these lawyers. I'll give you their name here. They're Abogados Quinteros. They're in Seville. Any questions or any paperwork or anything you want to do, well, I 100% recommend these lawyers who handled my process. And well, I want to recommend them to you. Sometimes you ask me a lot of things that I honestly don't know. Honestly, I wish I could help all of you. I have helped and answered questions for many people, but there are things that are beyond my knowledge because I just don't know. So you should always ask a lawyer. Consult with a lawyer or someone who knows about immigration and foreign nationals law. If it's in Spain, then here because they're the best to help you. I consulted with them instead of submitting this myself since I thought it probably wouldn't be approved if I did it alone. It's better to consult some lawyers because they know the laws, they know how to handle things, you know, so that you get approved. And so I applied. I think I contacted them around March or something like that. And in May is when I submitted my papers, but I had contacted them since March. I think that's when I started this whole process as a digital nomad. And now you might be wondering, what is a digital nomad? Well, a digital nomad is a person who uses the internet to work remotely, which allows them to live while traveling. In fact, being a digital nomad, let me tell you, is not just a job. Being a digital nomad is a lifestyle. And what do you need to be a digital nomad? To be a digital nomad, you need to make sure that, well, the company you work for, maybe you work for another company, allows you to work remotely. Or you can start out as a freelancer with a product or service, or even with a digital product that you can offer to clients. It's not just for YouTubers, okay? This includes many other people who work this way, lots of people who are freelancers, who are community managers, who manage social media for others, or who work for other companies. But their job allows them to work remotely, and so they can move to another country and keep working with that company. In fact, this legislation was finally approved by the Spanish Parliament and came into effect in January 2023. So this digital nomad law in Spain is actually quite new. I can live anywhere because in the end I make videos and I can make them wherever I want, and I'll always have something to offer, information, entertainment, and so on. So I said, well, why not? It costs money, obviously it's not free, you have to pay the lawyer, and that's it. I started submitting my documents and the lawyer asked me for several documents. I'm gonna tell you here now, I have to look like in the chat which documents they asked me for. I just know I was just reading the chat and that's not true, that's not true. I contacted them in January, it wasn't in March, it was back in January. I contacted the lawyers. I arrived in November, I lived through December, which is kind of a holiday season and everything, and from January on I said, that's it, I have to get on this. Basically, what I had to submit was my criminal background check. I also had to submit my YouTube payslips, whatever YouTube paid me. Because obviously you have to prove that what you earn is enough for you to live in this country. If they pay you 20 euros and that's not enough to live here, I don't think you'll get approved. So, well, I submitted my payslips and all the documents they asked me for. Now, I don't really remember which ones they were. I'm trying to find them, but they're super old, so they don't show up here. They're from about a year ago, and I don't know why. No, I can't find them, honestly, but I do remember that I had to request only the criminal record from Cuba, and that was an ordeal because it took a really long time. In Cuba, paperwork is taking forever. And well, from here in Spain, it was more about submitting my contracts with YouTube, so I had to download those things myself. As a YouTuber, the policies and things you accept when you become a YouTube partner that you agree to. The YouTube partners, who are the people that, earn money from YouTube, work for YouTube. I had to download all those documents, the payslips, I think it was that or something like that. They asked me for a YouTube contract, but the thing is, YouTube didn't give me any contract. It's just the things you accept when you start monetizing and the conditions they give you. I wrote to the YouTube team, but they told me they couldn't give me a contract or anything like that. Now, from this point on, the long wait began. Of course, I was in touch with the lawyers every day, and they kept me updated. They told me it would take about a month to get a response. Let me see, I'll tell you roughly when I filed this application. Before starting the process, they had a video call with me where they explained everything clearly, how it was going to be, and I really liked them. Very professional people, so I wrote to them on January 27th. After that video call, I told them that I would like to and asked if I could continue the process with them. I submitted the documents in May, and from there I had to wait to get started. But I had already put together my file and everything, and they made sure to follow up on everything. When a month had passed since I filed the application, around April, I received a call. I remember I was at the beach in Rezo Beach, and they called me to say my application was denied. And at that moment, I was like, what do I do now? Many of you have asked me, Anita Mateo, if I have Spanish ancestry. Yes, I do. The law, the democratic memory law, I know about it. I'm also involved in that law, but it takes a long time to finish and it's taking a while. But don't worry, if one day I can do it, if they approve it and all that, I'll also make a video about it for you. Obviously, I can go that road too. But anyway, I had to do it as quickly as possible, like regularize my status here in Spain because I couldn't keep living here without legal status. One thing you might not know is that you can also do this digital nomad process from your country of origin. From your country of origin or another country where you live. But you have to prove those earnings. And what happens in Cuba is that many people told me, they asked me, friends, can't we do it from Cuba? First, in Cuba, the embassy is basically in the middle, right? And if the embassy, I don't know if the Spanish embassy in Cuba actually does this process. And another thing is that YouTubers in Cuba don't have the channels or the earnings in their own name. If you don't have it in your name, how are you going to prove that it's really yours? This visa is something where you're going to live permanently in this country for years, and you have to prove that the income is yours. So, I don't know if this works in Cuba, honestly. I don't know, I never did it from Cuba, I didn't look into it, but yes, when you read the law, this visa has to be applied for from your country of origin. So, I think that's why I was denied. The first time the lawyer told me not to worry, I was a tax resident, I had my bank accounts. I changed my channel and everything to my name at that time and submitted the papers again because they filed an appeal to see if, we had a second option. That's the good thing here, that if you're denied the first time, you can file an appeal. I submitted this appeal around June, and it turns out that during the holidays, it was supposed to take about a month as well. But it turns out that during the holidays in July, August, September, or something like that, there was a judge's strike. And I would call the lawyer, and months would go by, and I would say, this isn't going to work, they're going to say no. I had already lost all hope completely. They told me that because of the strike, it was taking a long time to get a response, and indeed the days went by. The days went by, and I didn't have any answer about my case. And then November 21st came, a week after I completed my first year here in Spain, with some excellent news. I have some excellent news for you. We already have the approval. I already have residency in Spain. I remember I was editing a video when I got this message and I was just like, what? I was like, is this real? Is this real? And well, from then on, along with my residency, there were a bunch more procedures. They sent me an email with a whole new process I had to do now because a whole new stage in my life was beginning. In Spain, first of all, I had to go to the police to get my fingerprints taken. I mean, the lawyers gave me like all the documents that I had to take to the police, and I had to make the appointment at the police station myself. But anyway, they give you the link so you can go in and make the appointment, and I showed up, and one of the things I also had to do was register as self-employed. As a self-employed person, since I'm a digital nomad, a worker, a freelancer, I don't know, working on my own, I have to be self-employed here in Spain, pay taxes, do everything correctly, and that was another thing I had to do. I'll leave you with a compilation of clips I recorded during those days, showing my process so you can see how everything went.
Yesterday, I got the news from the lawyer that I was granted my residency for 3 years, retroactively, starting from May 2023. As you can imagine, I'm super excited. I mean, when I read the message, I started screaming because I really didn't expect it. I thought they were going to deny it. And well, here are the documents I have to take to the police appointment, which is tomorrow, just tomorrow. Today is Sunday the 26th, so tomorrow is the day I'm going to the police. I already have the appointment for 10 in the morning and I'm nervous. I feel like when I was waiting for my visa so I could come here, it's like the same feeling because I don't know why we have that fear and we make
a big deal out of it here.
Something will go wrong. I don't know why I'm like this and I don't want to be this way. But anyway, tomorrow. And well, now that I have my little girl, I've registered as self-employed. Now I have. When registering as self-employed, it's important to hire an accounting firm or accountant to manage your finances. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see the accountant that was recommended to me right here in my town. Here we are at the accounting office, which is on the 2nd floor.
So I went to the police, I submitted my documents there, and in about 3 weeks I was going to have my card. I already had my residency. They give you a piece of paper, but in about 3 weeks, that's when I get it, like my ID card, my actual NIE card. And well, I was super excited for that moment, and in the meantime, I was doing everything I told you about, becoming self-employed, hiring an accountant. When you become self-employed, it's important to hire an accountant, because at least I have no idea about any of this, about taxes. I don't know anything about that. Now I have to pay self-employment fees and social security, which I didn't pay before. I also need to keep all my invoices and documents organized. And an accountant helps you with that, so if you're going to become self-employed, are you thinking about becoming self-employed here in Spain? Hire an accountant, it will help you a lot. I mean, my accountant has explained a lot of things to me that I had no idea about. I really had no idea. Honestly, I look a little bit ugly in the photo. I didn't like how I turned out, but oh well, here it is. This is my residence permit. This is how I look in the photo. That day I was super stressed. The day I took that photo and put my hair up, I'm not even wearing much makeup or anything. I was just like, okay, photo, I don't even remember what day it was. Honestly, I think it was an appointment I had once and I arrived late and I was really stressed, but I went anyway. Well, here is my residence card. As you saw, I can't believe it. I already used it for the first time on my trip to Gran Canaria because I went to Gran Canaria. I'm recording this video now and you'll see the Gran Canaria one next week, so I've already used it. I won't show you my passport anymore because every time I traveled, it was my passport. Now I show my ID and I feel so, I don't know, like, wow, I don't know, I'm really happy. This is one of my goals. When we emigrate, the first thing is to leave Cuba for the country that gives us the opportunity. And then the next goal is, of course, to find a job, to prosper and all that. But the next goal is to become legal. And then once you become legal, our next goal is to keep growing here and maybe go. Maybe many people will be against it or in favor, but a lot of people want to go back to Cuba to see their families after getting their status. Now you might be wondering, what can you do? Oh, one thing. This residency is usually given to you for a limited time. Oh, I forgot to explain that to you. They gave me residency for 3 years, but they gave it to me retroactively, retroactive from May. So I would be a resident since May, which was when I first started the process. So in May 2025, I can already start my process for citizenship. Because I'm from a Spanish-speaking country, because I'm from Cuba, after 2 years of residency, I can already apply. This residency allows me to apply for Spanish citizenship. If I don't manage to do it earlier through the democratic memory law, which I can also apply through, but well, there are several options and I hope that one of them works out. I just wanted to tell you to share my process with you because you are more like family. Many of you have been here and have seen the growth, you've seen the steps I've taken. Since I was in Cuba in a little house, then in another little house, then when I left, then here in Spain, my whole journey. And I'm very grateful to many of you who have followed me since then and are here and have seen the path I've taken. Like many, you are very proud of me and I thank you so much for being here, for supporting me. And many of these things are thanks to the support you've given me. With this residency, obviously, once I am a resident, I can travel outside of Spain. I can go to Cuba to see my family. I can do thousands of things. I can even have another job too. I don't have to only be self-employed. I think I could look for another small job, maybe part-time or something like that. I'm considering it because, I don't know, it's always good to have more things to do, even though this YouTube job is hard and you have to dedicate a lot of time to it, but, well, I don't know. Once you're a resident, you can work legally and get a work contract. If you want, I can tell you about my new expenses. Being self-employed in Spain, a lot of people tell me good luck, haha, kind of laughing at me like saying, girl, you'll see what being self-employed is like. But let me face life myself. Many of you tell me good things, bad things, but this is my life and I'm going to face this new challenge myself, and that's my problem. Whether it's good or bad, I'll tell you about my experience on this channel. I think I've talked too much, way too much. I'll say goodbye to you all and see you next week. Give it a like, subscribe, and join this family if you like the content. And let me know your opinions down below, what you think, what you don't, what you like, what you don't like. I'm sending you a big kiss and I'll see you next Friday. Love you all. Y'all.